Welcome to Spooky Bear, where darkness whispers your name. And today, please enjoy.
When Things We Forgot to Bury. The old house sighed when I opened the door, a gust of mildew and forgotten years washing over me. It wasn't a welcoming sound, more like a weary exhalation, as if it, too, was tired of what it held within its peeling wallpaper and sagging floors. Mama was in the armchair, the one Dad used to sit in, staring out at the overgrown garden where the roses had long surrendered to thorns. Her eyes, once the color of warm honey, were clouded, distant. Dementia. A cruel thief, stealing her memories one by one, leaving behind a confused, frightened stranger in the shell of my mother. "Clara," she whispered, her voice thin as old lace. Clara was my sister. Clara, who disappeared one scorching August when I was 10 and she was 13. "It's Sarah, Mama," I said, forcing a smile that felt like cracking plaster. "I'm home." She just blinked, her gaze drifting back to the window. "The attic door's open again," she murmured. So low I almost missed it. "He doesn't like it when it's open." A chill, colder than the draft seeping from beneath the ill-fitting windows, snaked down my spine. The attic door. It had always been a point of contention. A dark mouth at the end of the upstairs hallway. Dad had nailed it shut after Clara left. He'd said it was for safety, that the old stairs weren't sound. But even as a child, I knew it was more than that. He was trying to seal something in, or keep something out. The first few days were a blur of medication schedules, soft foods, and the heartbreaking routine of reintroducing myself every few hours. The house itself seemed to watch me, its silence thick with unspoken things. Little things started to feel off. A child's nursery rhyme, hummed in a tuneless whisper, seemed to drift from empty rooms. The scent of cheap bubblegum lip gloss, Clara's favorite, would hang in the air for a fleeting moment before vanishing. Mama would sometimes look past me, a flicker of recognition, of fear, in her eyes, and say, "Don't let her take you too, Sarah." Her doctor, a kind but brisk woman named Evans, assured me these were common delusions. "The mind tries to fill in the blanks," she'd said, echoing the hollow reassurances I'd received for years about Clara. Runaway. Tragic. But these things happen. But they didn't know this house. They didn't know the weight of its secrets. One evening, as I was helping Mama with her soup, she grabbed my wrist, her grip surprisingly strong. Her eyes were sharp, lucid for a terrifying instant. "She's still in the walls, you know," she hissed, spittle flying. "She scratches, listens." Then, just as quickly, the light faded, and she was back to muttering about the price of eggs in 1978. I started sleeping in my old room, the one next to Clara's. Her room was exactly as she'd left it. Dust lay thick as a shroud, but beneath it, her posters of wild horses and pop stars with too much eyeliner were still tacked to the walls. A half-finished friendship bracelet, its threads faded, lay on her desk. It felt less like a memorial, and more like a crime scene left undisturbed. The dreams started then. Or maybe they weren't dreams. I'd wake, heart hammering, to a scratching sound, faint, rhythmic, coming from the shared wall. Scritch. Scritch. Pause. Scritch. Just like Mama said, I'd tell myself it was rats, the house settling, anything but the thought that clawed at the edges of my sanity. Then came the day I found the attic door. Just as Mama had said, ajar. A dark, jagged line against the faded floral wallpaper of the upstairs landing. Dad had used 6-inch nails to seal it. I remembered the furious thud of the hammer, the finality of it. Yet, there it was, open just enough for a sliver of oppressive blackness to show through. No sign of forced entry, no splintered wood. Just open, as if it had exhaled and pushed itself free. "Mama," I asked, my voice trembling more than I wanted it to, "did you open the attic door?" She was arranging her pills on the worn chenille bedspread, a look of intense concentration on her face. "The birds are hungry," she said, not looking up. Clara always fed the birds. I approached the attic door with the kind of dread usually reserved for walking towards a cliff edge in the dark. The air around it was colder, heavy with the smell of dust and something else. Something vaguely metallic and sweet, like overripe fruit and old blood. My hand hovered over the splintered wood. I should have called someone. A handyman. The police. Though what would I tell them? And my mother's dementia says the attic door is open, and it is? With a deep breath that did nothing to calm the frantic bird fluttering in my chest, I pushed it open. The stairs groaned in protest, each step a complaint. The attic was vast, larger than I remembered, a shadowy cavern under the eaves. Boxes draped in cobwebs stood like forgotten tombstones. Old furniture huddled under white sheets, their shapes monstrous in the gloom filtering from a single grime-encrusted window. And there, in the center of the room, was a small, child-sized rocking chair, rocking, gently, back and forth, as if someone had just risen from it. "Clara?" I whispered, the sound swallowed by the suffocating silence. The rocking stopped. My gaze fell upon a collection of old wooden crates stacked in a corner. One of them was slightly askew. Something dark had seeped from beneath its lid, staining the dusty floorboards. It looked like dried paint. Or a floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around, my heart leaping into my throat. Nothing. Just shadows, stretching and contorting as the sun dipped lower. But the air had changed. It was charged, expectant. I turned back to the crate, a terrible certainty blooming in my chest. With trembling fingers, I pried at the lid. It came away with a shriek of rusty nails. Inside, nestled amongst yellowed lace and moth-eaten linens, was not what I expected. Not bones, not a body, but things. Clara's things. Her favorite denim jacket, now stiff and discolored. A diary, its cheap lock broken. Its pages filled with a childish scrawl that morphed halfway through into something frantic, jagged. And dolls. Dozens of them. Old porcelain dolls with vacant, staring eyes and chipped smiles. Their tiny dresses were torn, their synthetic hair matted, and each one had something wrong with it. A missing limb. A crudely stitched mouth. Eyes gouged out. One doll, lying on top, was newer than the others. Its plastic face was pristine, its blonde curls neat, except for the eyes. They were buttons, two mismatched, mother-of-pearl buttons, sewn haphazardly where its eyes should have been. It was wearing a tiny handmade dress of familiar faded blue fabric, the same fabric as the dress Clara had been wearing the day she disappeared. She liked to make them pretty. A voice rasped from the shadows near the rocking chair. I stumbled back, a scream lodging in my throat. Mama stood there, her silhouette stark against the grimy window. But it wasn't Mama. Not really. Her eyes were too bright, too knowing. A sly, awful smile played on her lips. She said they told her things, Mama, or the thing wearing Mama's face, continued, taking a step closer. The rocking chair began to move again, faster this time. Secrets, about what Daddy did in the shed, about the bad men who came to the house when you were at school, the scratching sound. It wasn't in the walls. It was coming from Mama, from inside her. I could almost see something moving beneath her thin nightgown. Clara didn't like the secrets, the voice said. No longer Mama's, but something deeper, guttural. She wanted to tell. So Daddy had to make her quiet. Had to put her where she couldn't talk. The figure gestured vaguely towards the floorboards, towards the dark stain. We helped. We always help. The dolls. Their button eyes seemed to fix on me. The air grew colder, thick with the stench of decay, and those awful sweet lilies Dad used to bring home after his business trips. He forgot to bury some things properly. The voice chuckled, a dry, rattling sound. We remember. The house remembers everything, Sarah. And now, so do you. The figure of my mother took another step. And another. The scratching intensified, a frantic scrabbling from within. And in the dim, oppressive light of the attic, I saw it. A thin, pale hand, not Mama's. Pushing out from the collar of her nightgown, its fingernails long and yellowed. I finally found my voice and screamed. I scrambled down the attic stairs, the mocking laughter and the rhythmic creak of the rocking chair chasing me. I ran out of the house, out into the dying light of day, and I didn't stop running until the old house was just a dark silhouette against the bruised purple sky. They found Mama a week later. Wandered off, they said. Exposure. But I know. The house took her back. Or maybe the things inside her, the things she'd tried to keep buried with Clara, finally claimed her fully. I never went back. I sold the house to a developer who tore it down. They said they found old bones under the foundation. Animal bones, probably, but I know what they were. Sometimes, late at night, when the wind sighs just right, I hear it. Faint, distant, a scratching, and the scent of bubblegum lip gloss. The things we forgot to bury don't always stay buried. And some houses, they never forget. They just wait.
Sleep is a luxury, and you've just run out. Thanks for joining, and please like, share, and subscribe.